Taken.
I said, so it's still New Year's Day today.
I know.
And we have Thor and Queen Califia who are going to share a computer. Hopefully, we can keep down some of the noise reduction. And we have an awesome show coming up.
We do. So we're
Absolutely.
still sort of talking about what's happening with weather and everything else. So I put up an overlay here. Y'all are better with um, colors than I am. This is supposed to be a representation of what happens here in the next however many hours or minutes. This looks like 10 hours. What do you see?
Some kind of system coming in towards California and Alaska.
What do those temperatures say?
-11.
Yep, you got
So this
some
is
warm.
what just happened because this ends. The loop ends at 9:30 Mountain. So this is
Yeah,
what's been happening for the last 10 or 12 hours. Does it look like this storm is over to you?
not by a long
No.
shot.
What's that favorite truth or phrase? What's upon us?
Yeah, the
Storm.
storm is upon us.
54 degrees in Georgia, 67 muggy degrees in Louisiana. And
We did this the other day,
oh
and we
yeah,
and we had just this area where the earthquakes. Look at that! Oh my gosh, when did this happen? Noon, 4 o'clock in the morning, 6:50 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, 2:06 in the morning, 6:10. So it looks like you start your run over here in the middle somewhere, and you force everyone out to this end, and then you blow them all up here. just, just, just saying, is this one late too? 6:04:01 a.m. So the people that ran this way got killed 2 hours between the people that ran this way. And what's all the way out here? What time's this? 2:06. Looks like they start here. They cut off the long escape. 7 earthquakes in the nation. Okay, so call it another couple, maybe 12 if I take in the outer islands. And how many earthquakes are right here? So that's 24 hours. The tuna got shook at 8:05 p.m. Oh, damn it. Stop that.
And
Sorry.
so from a previous episode, you said that the average is 5 to 8 nationwide.
So the chart we were looking at the time had about 20 years in it, 25 maybe left to right. And it was the average number of earthquakes in the North Americas as they were defined, which is pretty much, like it'd be not Canada. So everything in here with the outer islands, all the way down to Florida, up into almost into the Yucatan. So it'd be this area, and there were 7 or 8 on the top end on average. The number per year was 1740 something at the lowest, and 23 or 2400 on the highest. And they really started going up in 2016. And there was one year that was like 2740. It was up there. It was like almost 9 per day on average, divided by 365. So how many per day on average? Well, it was never more than 10 ever in all of the previous years. Well, I'm getting 80 earthquakes registered. I mean, I think yes, some of these are of lower magnitude. That's correct. So, but still, if you triple it, you're still not anywhere close to what we are. This can't be normal.
Absolutely
just looks like a pattern.
not. I agree.
Well, hold on. We did this a couple of hours ago. We started. Let me go do a worldview and see if there's anything new.
All right.
Well, that looks like more than we saw a little while ago. What the heck's going on over here? In the Philippines, I got a big hit at 3:35 a.m. middle of the night, 4.4. It just seems like they're all ports, and they're either in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-oh. That wasn't good.
I think we just lost him.
Yeah, we're gonna wait and see if he can come back because typically he should be able to come back in. I think his computer needs to be rebooted, guys.
That's on me. Sorry.
All right.
I hit that as hard as I could. I came back. I was doing a little research earlier today, and I forgot to close a couple of things. So it's okay. But it looks like high mountain ranges here. I mean,
you need to share your screen.
Oh shit! Thank you. Or darn. You got me?
I got you.
Okay, so if I'm over in here's Ukraine, noticeably there's nothing over here. There should be enough bombs going off over here to kick seismic equators sets. The things that actually there should be so many hits over here according to the war.
Well, sure, Russia, Ukraine.
I just thought about that just at this moment. Look at this. I got nothing. Entire swath here. Tectonic plate shifts don't push at this angle. So there should be enough bombs dropping over here to at least show up as a something. Like a 0.62 or a anyway. We've certainly spent enough money over there, but we're not going to talk about that. If Linda were here, she could pipe in. So 4.7 magnitude, 1139. So that's what 259, a 4, yeah, a 4. So these are all of strains the same, but yet there are no microquakes in between. If you have a 4 point something magnitude, you should have at least a string of smaller movements on across a fault line. This is not a fault line. This is a fault matrix. It's a completely different thing. Papua New Guinea, look at this. This is a port. So I'm guessing something shitty happened here for a bunch of people. 5.4. Oh my gosh. That's not nothing. And it's right off the coast. So why didn't I hear about a huge amount of flooding across this coastline? Because if I have a 5.4 right there that's underwater, that means it's probably at 10 meters. That's what that means. Somebody asked me about depth earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, what's this? Oh my, what do I spy? Oh, Puerto Rico. We did this earlier.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Looks like both ends of the underwater passage got kicked here. That's pretty straight line, isn't it? Yep. Oh, and maybe the one that went this way also got hit. Oh, there's two there. Look at that. A 393 at 829. Oh, and a 2.6 829. Successive charges, maybe. Oh, and this is 456. So how many hours between these? So apparently it takes 2 or 3 hours to run that far. Maybe. I know. The other thing we had, I think, was wind speed and flooding. So there's a different shading here. I assume that's a different color. Unless that's the Arctic or the shelf that it all lives on. Oh, that is what it is. It's the shallow shelf in the Google Earth view. Not normal. That's my point.
Wow.
So you've got another set of slides for us. Is that true, Brandy?
They do. You ready?
Bring it.
Bring it on.
And Queen Califia is sitting on Thor's lap. Her resonance is so high that she's affecting all computers near her. So only Thor's electric power can nullify that.
Okay. Okay, something happened to my PowerPoint. Hold up 1 second, guys.
So we've been seeing a lot of movement with earthquakes, throughout all the nations these last few days. So what's kind of your thoughts with that, Gandalf, that they've been consistent for so many days?
Well, that's an interesting question. Um, Give me a second here to pull this up. So there's a couple of different ways we can come at this. I'm going to do a quick search here, try and do this in real time, see if I can get this done right. So what we're looking at here is we had a shake of it in 1811 and 1812. You hear me talk about this? They're talking about the what's happening here. This is a map, 1810. Obviously, this is not what we were taught in history school. Wasn't trying to go there this evening, but we're going to do a little Tartarian diving. So, if I look at this map right here, is this what everybody expects to see?
No.
This is supposed to be in 1810.
Wow.
I thought 1776. I thought 1776 was the big year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Well, is 1,810 bigger than 1,776?
It definitely is, sir.
Okay, just making sure we're the Kingdom of Mexico, the Kingdom of New Galicia, the Great Borean Sea, the Great Equinox Ocean, the Greater Antilles, the Gulf of Spain.
Wow.
So
Kingdom of, what was that?
Keep going.
Guatemala.
Kingdom of Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
Look how New California is an island all the way into the Canadian area.
It's just too long.
Yeah.
And they're calling it Old California. This is from 1810.
This is like we have in
So you're talking about what's going on with the earthquakes. That was your question, right?
Right.
Okay. So why were all the corn palaces, except for the first corn palace in South Dakota, which still exists? Well, because the buildings did not fit in the current narrative of the Americans being uncivilized in the New World. So most of the old world pre-mud flood, the buildings were either destroyed or converted into federal buildings, courthouses, governor's mansions, capital. That's why I call them Freemasons, because they took all the masonry. Oh, yeah, the masonry that was free, because all Europeans had to do was dig out the Morris Tartarian structures after the Great Comet of 1811, 1812. So we've talked about the importance of celestial events and how on November 8th of this last year, we had a blood moon and a move into the Aquarian. And, well, there's a great comet in the sky here, too. I could look at paintings from Galileo and see stuff like that. I mean, that's another show. So this is a map of 1810. 1811, 1812 is when the big shake comes up. How do you think you erase all this? With a stupidly horrible event. We just spent a whole last show talking about stupidly horrible. Is this the United States of America in 1810? Once again, can someone help me with my American history and take the hell first time? This
I think they lied
pisses
to
me
us.
off. It pisses me off. Sorry, I'll be
Wow.
No, this is an awakening even for ourselves.
Let's say again, Thor.
No, this is like an awakening even for ourselves. I never knew that. That's amazing.
Oh, I thought you'd seen this rail from me.
No.
Oh my God, New California. Now that actually might be a representative voting district for California right there. Holy shit.
Huge.
Are you kidding me? And where the hell is New Navarra, New Vizcaya? Well, Texas is still there. Steers and queers. That's all that comes from Texas. You ain't got no horns. That looks like that hadn't changed. I got New Extremadura.
Those are the same locations down at the bottom that were on those other maps from the map show.
Yep. So once
Yeah.
again,
Sahara.
let me do this real quick. You talked about what's going on. Okay. So let me get a little farther into this. The Great Reset of 1811, 1812, from December 6, 1811 through March of 1812. How many months did we hear? 6 months of shaking?
Yes.
December, January, February, March. This is only 4. There were over 2,000 earthquakes in the central Midwest, between 6,000 and 10,000 earthquakes in the new Boot Heel of Missouri, in the Boot Hill, Missouri, where New Madrid is located. This is Brandy hit me with this. She gets an attaboy here. She asked me to pull up a map. Well, you want a map? Look, I'm in the top. This is where all those earthquakes were. We've been looking at earthquake maps, right?
We're about to talk about that a little bit more.
Does this look a little bit like the earthquake map up and down California?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe just a little.
Sure does.
Okay. The sequence of 3 main shocks in 1811 and 1812 and 3 very large earthquakes is usually referred to as the New Madrid earthquakes, after the Missouri town that was the largest settlement in the Mississippi River, St. Louis, Missouri, blah, 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 600,000 kilometers of damage. Okay, does that sound like a liquefaction event? The widespread area of perceptibility, 5 million square kilometers, and the complex physiographic changes that occurred in the New Madrid earthquakes of 1811 to 1812 rank as some of the largest in the U.S. since its settlement by the Europeans. They were by far the largest east of the Rocky Mountains in East Canada. The area of strong shaking associated with the shocks as that of the 1964 Alaska earthquake. I think we covered that as well, didn't we? And 10 times larger than the 06 San Francisco earthquake. Would someone please tell me what I just said right there?
Yeah, 10 times larger than the 1906.
Did we look at pictures of that a few minutes ago?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't y'all rail about that for a minute?
That's good.
The New Madrid earthquakes were felt as far away as Canada. The eastern seaboard's coast, in Boston and Philadelphia, church bells rang. Right? I got 2. I think I got another couple here. Okay. This is the comet of 1811, 1812. It's called Tecumseh because Tecumseh was in charge of what were the American Indians were called there, and which was Tartarians. In 1811, a great bright comet appeared in the skies. It was visible to the naked eye for around 260 days. So is that 6 months?
No.
That's 9 months, isn't it? Six threes is 180. That's 6 months. 9 threes is 270. Yeah. That's 9. That's 10 days under 9 months. So for 9 months, this thing's in the sky and the whole ground is shaking.
Jeez, Pete.
No,
Wow.
Really, help me out here. The last time the comet had been witnessed by was during the reign of the Egyptian pharaoh in 3065. Now, I haven't done this math in my head yet, but I bet you we're getting pretty close to either 2,160 years or 24,800 years, because this is about Aquarian, Pisces. It's all a big cycle. The arrival of the Tecumseh comet was followed by the New Madrid earthquakes, the biggest earthquakes in American history. They're linked to the Black Sun prophecy. Oh, wait, the Black Sun is a solar eclipse, not a lunar eclipse that is blood red. That's what that is. That's why it's black. Tecumseh was an important Native mystic warrior, blah, 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 blah.
The island of California.
Oh, yeah, well, I know where. Hey, this is a different show. So people yell at me and say, oh, Gandalf, that thing you're talking about is just the Yucatan Peninsula. No, it's not. It's the island of California. You see these little things right here? One of these islands still exists. Right, that's right off of San Francisco, right there. That's the San Francisco Bay. Oh, don't screw with me on this one. Oh, a moment of silence for one of our attendants. Califia, would you like to chime in on your kingdom?
Califia, you're welcome.
Would you like to chime in on your kingdom, Califia?
Absolutely. How much of it would you like me to chime in on? All of it?
I don't know. Why don't you impress me and tell me something I don't know?
I don't think I can do that.
Not yet, but she will.
Amen, sister.
Okay. Did we just read it?
No,
what do you know about
I'm pulling your chain. You're the one that picked your on-screen persona, so you should
Okay.
catch up. Next time I ask you, you should have a better answer.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so
I will.
we do talk about this. By the way, you should. This is in locals in the lair or the library. You can go find this. Califia has been given. Every time they want to really erase something, they have to give it a new name, right? Like a vote becomes an undervote. So the Themyscira that is in the Wonder Woman legend is actually the island of California. And this is still on the California state seal. Well, Califia, we'll do a whole show about this. You do a little reading. So I've got heavy duty back up here just in this one set of text. I mean, come on, man. That's a great show. We'll do this one. So, but if you go to the California state seal, this is in the California State Building in the narthex of the state Supreme Court judges' chambers.
Wow.
Does she look 12 feet to you? Man, I tell you what, I don't think that I want to say anything to her, but yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Okay, I'll stop hogging. We're gonna go over here and do this.
Ready?
Thank you all for listening to my ranting. Well,
right.
I know the answer to the first question.
You want to get Thor a chance? Thor, how would you answer this question?
These are all planned events, but I love this thumbnail that you picked right here, just because you can see this is, what is that? A train rail maybe?
Goes down, yeah.
And it's just covered with water. It's
Right.
just unbelievable.
1889, June 1st, Pennsylvania. Folks, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yep. So here we go.
So I would bet you that if you go in the water, because this is a flood event after a disaster, obviously, that if you go down in the water, you will find arched supports that are of different polarity stand to stand, because the water is the infrastructure of all the previous tech. So they have to destroy it.
The water does what?
If I have a circuit board and I put it together, I have to have a main line that runs through the board and goes from the power supply to all of the tributary events downline, because electricity and water flow very much the same. So all of the waterways, we got to keep a list of shows we need to get done here. Now, if I look up and down the eastern seaboard, I can go all the way down to the tip of Florida with a canal system that starts almost all the way back up around the Horn into Washington if you look at the tributary sets. So the old Tartarian buildings, the ones that have half buried windows and all those wonderful things, that they'll have top spires, and they will be red and white and consecutive up and down. It'll be a dark brick and a light brick with slabs of stone every 10 or 12 brick layers. Those were Tartarian power structures. And the way that they drew their power and the power was distributed was by the waterways of which they were adjacent. Like one edge of the property, the eastern or the eastern or the western side usually, so that they had a north-south facing side. They were collective and distribution, and they were part of the greater infrastructure of power across all of the Americas. That power structure was based on the waterways that ran between. There are a few exceptions to this. When you look into the Asian portion, the Great Wall of China was built for three specific reasons. It was built, number one, because it was a combination of a line of demarcation and a distribution layer. So there is a channel, a water channel that runs underneath the Great Wall of China. I think there's only two people that I can think of that would agree with me on this without question, and Phil Moran. That's probably Juan and Gene. So underneath there's a water structure because there was not enough waterway that was natural. Natural waterways are bend and flow and ebb, and that returns the memory to the water that makes it structured for us so that we may exist. And the ULF frequencies that live within the high salinity water, which is ocean water, is a different approach and implementation. But the Tesla-based free energy architecture runs on waterways as primary conduit for power distribution. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Perfect sense. So here goes. January 10, 1850, Sacramento City, California. This is the photo from one of our other shows that kind of led us to go, hey, I need to look into this a little bit more. So flooding so close and all the temporary locations that people were moving into the city. The city was only 2 years old at the time. And basically, people were coming in for the gold rush. And here comes their first flood.
Oh, hold on for a second. Hold on. Let me give you some comparative. I'm gonna take your screen for a second.
Okay.
Whose screen is up? Damn it. Okay, I can do this. Then I have to do. Give me a sec. Is it my screen or your screen is up?
I took mine down. I can see.
Oh,
it.
that's what screwed me up. Sorry. I screen share this one. Give me some audio just in case. Okay. So y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's coming.
Okay, I got some alternative 1856 views for you here. This is Baltimore, Ohio. I'm on the other side of the nation. Look at these train tracks. These are narrow gauge. This is a steam-driven engine. Where's the coal pot? There is no coal pot. Look at these bottom curved. Can you guys see that? Look at the bottom curve set here. And this, that's so you get a smooth ride. There's 1827.
1827.
So, yeah. We're not supposed to have this shit. Okay. 1856. I was looking for something else. Oh, this is the list of world fairs. 1856, 1857, there was a rain event, and I thought I had a better reference to it on keyword. Damn it. Come here, mouse. Yeah, 18. So all over the world, this is probably a better set. All over the world, these are all the world fairs, by the way. So it's right after the mud flood. You have to bring in a new set of technologies, new, old. It's all stolen. All the dumbs, all that crap was already built, man. The final phase of the telegraph integration occurs in 1857. There's a panic of 1870. U.S. recession, bank failures. Don't throw half a party. This was built in 1857. Boy, did you just pop that thing up? Don't you just blow that up from the edge like that thing at the beach? No. Copenhagen University Library is built. Look at this Tartarian architecture, man.
Absolutely.
This has turned into a religious segment, but I'm telling you that it's part. Look at these evenly spaced brick sets. All of this is part of the power plant infrastructure. There's got to be water either underneath or close to there. St. Mary's Cathedral, Kilkenny. This is over in Britain. Is that in Britain? It can't be in Britain. Where's Kilkenny County? County Kilkenny. Is that the Irish Isles? Where are those mountains? That looks like the Rockies. 1857. Oh, screw you, acrobat. Manchester United Arts Treasure Exhibition, Royal Botanical. But look at these dates. The 1850s, holy shit. 1840s, 1830s, and then it all drops off. What happens here? World exhibitions. These are all things that this is a reintroduction of stolen technology. We have been lied to about what we are, when we are, who we are, and what we're capable of.
Wow. Ready to share?
Go.
All right. So this January 10th will be the 107th 170-year flood of Sacramento, California. And as you can see, what,
Did you say January 10th, like next week?
like, yeah, look, January 10th, 1950.
No,
Okay.
I said earlier we don't have anything to be concerned about. That actually concerns me a little bit. I hadn't thought about that. All the earthquakes in California. Hey,
Right.
Special K, if you're listening, my friend, you should get out of San Diego. Sorry.
Sorry.
So, I didn't do the math, so it could be a little bit more than 170 years, but they had this up as 170-year flood of Sacramento, California. But notice the amount of buildings. Now, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Today, in 2023, how long would it take us to build all of these buildings, please?
Well, not only that, look at the number of boats. Obviously,
Yes.
commerce is happening. People they're used to it.
Yeah.
Apparently, as
Or-
humans, we will put up with just about anything.
Or is it an event that they put in a drawing to make us believe that this happened?
Thank you for channeling Linda.
Disaster or planned?
Thank you, Channel Linda.
So I think it's a combination of the two, but this screws with the time that the Salton Sea should have really gone. I don't know. I've got Baker and Hamilton. It's a Warry House. What the agricultural Warry House? I've got. I don't know. That's a really good question.
Stoves. The second sign says stoves, but I look at the city, this street with the amount of buildings on this street. This town is only 2 years old, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
2 years old. Look at the size of these buildings. I mean, they could build maybe the first 4 in 2 years, but the whole city in 2 years to this massive amount of buildings? One never knows.
I do. It's bullshit.
So here is the city overview.
So you would make this painting just because it can't be completely false or completely true because it's still here, right?
Right.
So it made it through far too many hands of yeah, we can print that, but I see a lot of boats and I see a lot of places where if you look at the tree line on the far right hand side, there's a demarcation line at some point. It's all underwater. That's
Right.
It's got to be at least 6 feet of water.
Trees are all dead. And of
But I
course,
do agree with the comment
California,
though.
where it's not cold, so things shouldn't be dead in California in January because the weather there is not supposed to be bad enough to kill off trees.
Well, Sacramento's in another part of the state. It does get a little colder. You actually have some seasons up there,
Okay.
but it's not like this.
But I will say the story that they tell is basically the rain started in November with a storm system that looked pretty familiar according to the map you showed at the beginning of the show. The system came in from November to January, and then it resulted in a flood. Constant rain from November.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, this is the one that had the constant rain. Sorry. Different.
No, hold on. Let's do this the right way. Shit.
You want me to quit sharing?
No. I got it.
Okay.
So this is what we're talking about here. Let's go back over here and let's turn on radar satellite. So we're talking about. I'm not trying to get fear porn out there in any way, shape, or form, but this is what satellite imagery tells me over my map. I'll actually turn off the earthquake shit here. Let's look at flooding. Let's look at tornado and severe storms. Turn off earthquakes. We'll look at some lightning, and we'll do temperatures and wind speed, all with radar satellite. Oh, shit. It turns everything else off. Let's see what I get. Okay. I should be able to get radar satellite overlay. Damn, I should be a meteorologist.
Are you not?
I'm whatever I need to be. Okay, so go back and tell me what you just said. What was happening? How many years ago?
The story I told you was a little off. The one that I said happened at a later time.
Yeah, the constant rain was 1962.
62, right.
Oh, that's the 60. And then we had that quake in 65, right? So we've been over earthquakes ad nauseum. I think that topic's a little shaky. But if we look at temperatures and push, there's just not stopping. This is real-time radar.
Right.
Thank you, Gandalph. You're a good research guy. This is real-time radar with temperature overlay. I'm assuming I can see a 10, an 18, an 8, and 25. The rest of the contrast screw with me hard. But I can absolutely see this trend. That is cold, wet air coming in across the top of Oregon and pushing down actively into the California Delta Peninsula. This is what they did in 1856 and 1857. So I was looking for earlier. It's in a different text. But they packed the mountains with snow, and then they had a 9-day boil out. And that 9-day boil out caused the already saturated ground to be deluged by the runoff from High Mountain Steak that came to a washing that is the Cabal's version of the Noah flood. And I don't know when that happened. I really don't. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I just gave you the screen back. I just say I'm just trying to draw a correlation with what I think and what we're seeing happen right now. I'm not propagating fear porn.
Okay, so this was the January 10th of 1850. Now we're going to move on.
Holy shit. That's next week in the calendar. Talk about deltas.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the constant rain event that started in November and did not end till January of 1962. The second flood in Sacramento, California. What comes next? Levees?
So you just said January of 1962. Have you ever heard of this before?
I was 3 years old.
Well, which life, which age, which time, right? So this is supposed to be 1962. What's the look away? What is the look away in 1962? What's happening in 1962?
That's what I'm not quite getting on.
So in 1962, I'm having race riots in Alabama. I've got employment problems and legislation moving up through the Missouri, down into Louisiana, and early Florida. I'm heading into what is going to build up as the Vietnam War, another erasure event, and California is under fucking water. I don't know. I'm still hunting for a timeline I can believe, and this looks like a mud flood event.
Right. That does. I can't even make out what some of this is supposed to be.
Are you kidding me? Look at these buildings. Okay, are these Tartarian buildings? These are not built of something that is actually a poured quartz that has shavings of a. Well, I'm not going to go there. So these are not those buildings. Those buildings that they might lean a little bit, but they absorb floors. These are shittily built shanty sets that are storefronts. Look at the storefront line. There's literally a front down the left-hand side of your picture. That's why they
Right.
call it a store
Yeah.
front. Keep going.
So here we have the mighty Susquehanna flooded our towns. Pine Street looking south from 4th Street, Pennsylvania, June the 1st of 1889.
So they're calling it the Susquehanna. That is Indian. Okay,
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's Cherokee. That's not Cherokee. That is
Iroquois.
anyway.
Possibly.
So they're still using old names. The mighty flood. Do you know? Oh! I bet you I know who that is. That's Hopi. I bet your Susquehanna is Hopi because the Hopi the Hopi prophecies are scarily close to what's happening right now. You want to go down a rabbit hole? Go search Hopi prophecy now or something near in an alternate browser. So this flood is named after an ancient Indian tribe, and the model that we're supporting here in this discussion. The Tartarians were here, and the American Indians were the ones who had access to all the technology and chose not to because they engaged with the earth. Did you read about this when you were in school?
Nope.
Keep going.
All right. Mill Street, Daneville, Pennsylvania, 1865 St. Patrick's Day flood.
Hey, I always see the kind of flooding. Look at this. That's an energy weapon. How is that not? Look at the cut down the middle of the street. That's a flood. Really? How does a flood damage the tops of buildings? Look at the front side blown out. There's an entire building to the right that's missing. Floods always take out just one building in a row, right?
Yeah.
1883 flood of Milton Island, Pennsylvania.
So what? I'm in the Barrier Islands. Is that right? Off the top side of Pennsylvania. Is that Jekyll Island is farther down the coast of the Carolinas. I don't know that I've heard of Milton Island. But man, they got hit.
Notice the uniform. They're wearing hats.
Those are Russian hats, by the way.
Yep. And here is our 1889 flood in Milton, Pennsylvania. Took out the railroad bridge.
So 1889, look at the houses. Do those look like logs that were hewn by an axe in a man's hand?
Nope.
Are we supposed to have this much architecture?
Modern houses.
Look at those poles that are standing down the water line. So in the Tartarian universe, the communications, like phone communications, came across wire, which is exactly the opposite of now. The power came over the air, and the communications came over a wire. And now the communications come over the air, and the power comes over a wire. Upside down world. I will bet you underneath those tracks that those were once supported by an arched architecture that was made of bias-colored bricks with every 10th or 12th row interlaced with a specifically carbonized slate that would provide protection against things like earthquakes because there was a sliding barrier set, and they were also specifically tuned. So every other one had an opposite polarity. One would be positive, one would be negative. And they would be footed in a very large piece of water, a waterway, a large river, and that would be part of the canal system that lived all up and down the eastern seaboard. And
So for the
Pennsylvania was very Tartarian.
For the viewers who don't know you very well, how would you explain an event like this actually happening? What would they have had to do?
They would have to have succeeded. You will have nothing and like it.
Yeah. Well, and we saw it before. It was 1865 in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so look, man, keep throwing this shit at me. So 1936. Let's talk about what's happening in 1936. Prohibition is getting close to ending. Let's see, what wars do we have going on in 36? In 36, I've got the Middle East first starting to blow up. Morocco is degrading into the middle of itself. Brazil is stance forwarding and possibly under communist rule. We haven't headed into the 40s yet. They're trying to squelch the success of the Roaring 20s. What happens after the Roaring 20s? The completely freaking horrible 30s. We have spent we did 2 hours right before this show. I got to tell you again, Brandy, show build, excellent work. So to wear the 30s, you have to be miserable. You can't be having fun. Screw that. Free power. Because in the Tartarian world, of which we're at the end of this destruction, do you know that we're talking about the fact that we might have been freer humans as recently in real history as 80 years ago?
Wow.
I can't do it. My brain doesn't get there.
Oh, I know, that's staggering.
Well, that means that our friend Linda had to be 5 or 6, when this shit really started. I mean, look, we joke about age here. I'm telling you, I respect people that have survived this long. This is a tough freaking trial. So
in 1936, my father would have been 1 year old.
Yeah, 1936, my father was 1 year old.
We have something in common.
Oh, more than one, my friend, more than one. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you. Some of you got more slides for me. I'm having fun.
Yes, plenty. You ready?
Go.
In March of 1936, 3 days of floods caused 175 deaths throughout Pennsylvania and caused more than $500 million in damage. The 1936 St. Patrick's Day floods remain on the list of the worst floods to ever occur in Susquehanna River Valley.
Susquehanna.
Sorry. The Pennsylvania people don't say it that way anymore.
So my aunt, who was a brilliant woman, she moves to the Oklahoma, Texas region, and she's she's a linguist. One of the reasons that my illiterate diction might be specific. So she moves to this town, and there's a park in the middle of the city, and it's La Fortune, if you pronounce it in something with an English accent of maybe Castilian in nature. But everyone in this part of the country says La Fortune. So she had rented a place to stay adjacent to La Fortune Park. And she went around town and said, "Where is La Fortune?" And finally, somebody said, "You mean La Fortune?" So my point is here that it's not correction. It is that with familiarity breeds correctness. Our mouths are very powerful. And Susquehanna is a very famous legend. You should say that Susquehanna was pretty freaking amazing.
My husband lived
not
there
quite as
for
much as
a
Califia. I'm sorry, Brady, what'd you say?
I said my husband lived there for a while, and I've heard him say that river name so many times. And we're about to get to a slide that describes something he's told me numerous times.
Right?
All right. Where the railroad bridge was is the label on this photograph. And as you can see, the water is up to the level of the lean-to ceiling of
That's got to be 12 feet.
What?
He says it's got to be around 12 feet.
Right. And South Broad Street, Montgomery, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the whole building's tilting. That's a liquefaction event. You can't make a building tilt like that unless it moves really, really slow. This is
Where
the
we come
destruction
from,
of
buildings go
architecture.
floating.
This is the destruction of architecture. That's all it is.
Okay, up next. Winter of 1935-36 was one of the most severe Pennsylvania had seen in years.
Okay, so you know what this is? Hold on. You know what this is? This is right after the heat and the cool and heat event. So when you pack the mountains, looking beyond the distance. Imagine the top of that mountain packed with about 12 feet of snow. What happens when you hit that with 6 days of heat?
Yeah, it's got to come down somewhere.
Yes, sir. Keep going.
Huge quantities of snow fell throughout the state. Prevailing low temperatures meant that each snowfall added to the last, accumulating up to 3 feet in many areas. Along the river,
that's a quarter. That's a quarter of the number I've read.
Along the river, the ice was 15 or even 20 inches thick.
Oh, the ice was 20 inches thick. That's how they're accounting for the mass. I'm telling. I didn't even read the thumbnail. I said no bullshit. Yeah. So this is how you liquefaction plus water equals cement level mud when dry. Mud flood.
Mud flood.
There we go again. Sounds like history's repeating itself.
I don't know.
Did that Q drop go? Future proofs past? Something to that effect?
Yeah, everybody asked me for dates. Why don't we start in the 1800s?
All right. Scarlet.
A pandemic. A pandemic. A pandemic and a flood. Oh, let me be afraid.
All of the same year.
I can only tell you these photos came to me through someone with a higher power.
Christ is better at all this than we are. Doesn't matter which part.
Hey, Thor was watching while I grabbed these photos. So
a pandemic and a flood. Oh my gosh.
Exactly. So I'll let you read this one.
According to Susquehanna flood scenes from 1936, the river started rising March 18th. By the late evening, the water was rushing in torrents. So in one day, this happened. That's what I just read. Did I read that right?
You got
the river started rising on the 18th by the late evening. That sounds like 6 hours to me.
Right.
I went from dry land, daisy popping, wonderful day to this. Oh, does this sound like what happened in San Francisco on that day in March in 1906?
Well, see, back in these days when you didn't have internet and the people in Pennsylvania took 6 months to talk to anybody in California.
That is not true. You will
that
see
is what they
lines up.
want
There
us
was
to
communication. Well, you've seen this show. There are people standing in front of something that looks a lot like a video phone.
Exactly.
So there was communication transfer. I don't agree with that. You don't get this level of social integration without immediate transaction of information of some sort. You just don't. The banking system.
They were trying to take it away from us, though.
They replaced it with something that also tracks and traces us. This is Huxley and Orwell. We did that show.
Yes.
The river started rising March 18th. By late evening, water was rushing in torrents. Jiminy Christmas, that's a freaking flood. Oh, wait, a month. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Damn it. Where's Linda? Knocked me off my soapbox. Down to the and North, 4th, 5th, and 6th Streets. So it is progressing down the streets like a freaking Hollywood movie of a tsunami down in LA, carrying destruction and misery.
Yeah, let's make sure we put all the verbs in there so you really know what was coming.
Well, you can't build fear without the right mental image.
That's right.
Keep going.
Not to mention that because of the floods, here comes scarlet fever.
Where's the vaccine mandate? Where's my vaccine mandate? Rule me harder, Daddy. Rule me harder.
All the newspaper, the dailies.
1972, Hurricane Agnes. This went up the seaboard. I remember this.
Timeline of 1972 flood.
So this is that weather modification, baby. Cross River Bridge on the left of this photo from Northumberland to Shamokin Dam. You see two branches of the river connect. The best view is from the overlook at Shikellamy State Park. Shikellamy, sorry. And this is Susquehanna River. Look at all these names. Yeah, those aren't Jewish. We're not pulling a yay with anti-Semitic here. I am pro-Tartarian. So Northumberland, which is Irish, by the way, this is Druid country, and there were very powerful bloodlines that were against the mean bloodlines. It's a different show. I need one for that show. From Northumberland to Shamokin Dam, you see the two branches of the river connect. This is part of the waterway. Go look at the edges of this thing. Look at the lines of demarcation all the way up around the river at the top of the picture. The waterways are the infrastructure for the free energy. Thank Creator that they still exist underground, or they wouldn't have any freaking power. You know, one of the reasons they blew the Twin Towers is because there was not enough amperage being delivered to the underground infrastructure. That's why they had to rebuild them. Go look at the new buildings and tell me they aren't Tartarian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to get in trouble for that one. Okay, give me another slide. 1955. Look,
Christmas Day.
Oh my God! So about 11 slides ago, it was December 26th. You can't. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. You mean white with fear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pick it up, Thor. Give me a read.
All right. The massive Northern California flood of 1955 remains the deadliest to hit the Yuba City and Maryville region, with 38 killed. Nearly 300 homes were destroyed and more than 1,500 were damaged.
Hold on. Let me talk about those first two sentences. So if you're in Yuba and Marysville, you're down into the agricultural district of the state. So this is the part of the state that was flooded, that filled up a portion of the Straits of Vermilion, which was when California was an island. So those were extremely rich composites that went into that below sea level basin. So this is a drenching of the nation's food supply. We're currently under food supply tyranny right now. Eggs have gone from 196 per dozen average low to 518 in 7 months. Eggs. That's because there was a bird flu. That's happening right now. This is the same cycle. It's not a 100-year cycle. It's a 100-year big cycle for big shit. I think it's a 30-year cycle of one generation. Keep going.
All right. The Shanghai Bend on the west levee of the Feather River, about 1 mile south of Yuba City, was breached around midnight on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. A wall of water cascaded into Sutter County, forcing thousands of residents to evacuate their homes. And once again, on Christmas Eve. This view looks north of Plymouth Street, just north of Bridge Street, in the heart of Yuba City Business District, December 25th, 1955.
So the last slide that we read said that it went from late afternoon to early evening. There was a wall of water that came through. Does that sound like the same plan?
Yeah.
Sounds like, and that was in Pennsylvania. So, they do something on one side of the country, then they turn around and do it on the other side of the country.
It sounds like a wall-to-wall test to me.
That it does.
Come on, man. This has been going on a long time. 64, 9 years after the last one. Pick it up.
You got it, Thor?
Yeah, I'll get it. The heaviest rain from the Northern California flood of 1964 occurred on December 22nd and 23rd. Christmas again, hitting the north coast with gusty winds. The precipitation center in the basins of the Feather, Yuba, and American rivers. This aerial view, taken on December 23rd, 1964, overlooks Highway 70 and the Feather River.
So Highway 70 and the Feather River. Look at the architecture here. I have an obvious canal and levee system that has been partially disabled. Look at it from that view. What? Why am I look at the way everything pushes out? They are flooding. This is on purpose. They are destroying architecture. So if I want to take a water-based system that has to have a specific level of salinity or not, because the long-range power and information is ULF, which has to have a salinity that turns into a quote saltwater body, and then I have an ability to take real water, structured water that has an electricity in it and a memory that I can program it like a circuit, because water holds information. This is a much larger discussion. Put it in the notepad. But look at the lines of distinction around this architecture. That this is old. Underneath that right hand side, that big dark line, I'm assuming that's a rail bridge, and then underneath there are half arced precipices, but that's part of the positive negative infrastructure. The next road's new. Look at this. Yes. So you see how that arc is always consistent. That's not only a geoengineering response, but that is also a wave response. It's a sine cosine wave for a very long set. The bottom part obviously goes into the water. Where do you think the other half of that curve goes? And the way that they intersect the two pieces of the bridge, that is the beginning of the top side of a very primary sacred geometry architecture set. You know that, Brandy. It's the top of your favorite knitting pattern. It's that star. It was on David's shield when he was a teenager, as a matter of fact. So it's called the Flower of Life is the name of it. Look at Flower of Life. This is the top side of the Flower of Life. It's like 4% of the picture. That's what the bridge is architected of. What's happening? It's getting destroyed. Look at the way on the top left-hand portion where it connects into the side with a bunch of architecture up there. Look, this Orville Dam. So this is part of the same flood set. Yeah.
Please read.
A view of the Orville Dam. I never look at the words. The Orville Dam is still under construction as the floodwaters rush from the Feather River tributaries, as seen in this December 2-3. Oh, Christmas, 1964 photo. I'm wishing you a disastrous Christmas. May your fear abide. Don't go through without crapping your pants inside. Yeah, whatever. But this is destruction. Orville Dam. So this, when the Salton Sea expresses itself through liquid, and this is my working hypothesis, somewhere between 1811 and 1856. This happens initially. There's a huge flood event. It's the same tributary set that's coming down. The Orville Dam is at the top of the state. It runs up across the foothills line more than down below, and it is a gateway community down into the lower tributaries that go down into the old desert, which is the lower California basin, which is Yuba, and the other place is Marysville, where we looked at before. That's the breadbasket of the nation. 65% of all the produce for the United States has been produced there since the late 1930s. Give me another slide. Same thing.
This is the overview.
So you're going to tell me the flooding is so bad, but all of the ridge sets still hold. This is a canal system that was not built by us. Sorry, I'll shut up.
We like your comments. Okay. Ready for this one?
Did this happen on Christmas?
Well, kind of started.
Well, man,
This
look.
one lasted a while.
There's a bunch of stockings filled with coal.
The Great Mississippi River Flood of 1927. Ain't got no place to go, baby. All right. Take it away, Thor.
All right. Cape Girardeau riverfront during the Mississippi flood of 1927. Riverfront at Cape Girardeau, Missouri, April 20th, 1927, during the Mississippi River flood.
Hey, hold on. Pause there for 1 second. I want to do this just on a lark. If I take this screen and I put it over here, I present. Oh, is my screen up here somewhere? Oh, yeah, it's over here. Okay, so if we go over here, help me out. Where are we talking about in that last screen? Where did they just say it went all to shit?
Girardeau.
Missouri.
Right.
They're not off by much, are they? This is right now. I do not promote fear porn, but that's sort of eerie.
Well, I'm sorry, but I put this together a couple of days ago. So,
I've got
call
to tell
me
you,
psychic if you like, but
God's better at this than we are.
yes, he is.
Okay, keep going. I just trying to be
All
a good mudslinger here. Mudslinger, say did their mud flood.
right.
Well, there's no coincidences, that's for sure. So,
Oh yeah,
All right.
only according to Alex Jones.
yeah.
Mississippi River flood of 1927, Mounds Landing, Mississippi. Beginning on the Mounds Landing, Mississippi levee breach during the Mississippi River flood of 1927. And that's the picture above what I just read.
Okay, so is there a history in Louisiana, Mississippi area of blowing levees for floods?
Oh, yeah. They like to just blow the heck out of them so
Okay,
they can let the water release.
And does this look like a mud flood event?
It does.
How does that not?
The right-hand picture actually looks like Chalmette after Katrina.
I'm telling you, keep going, keep going.
Arkansas City, Arkansas.
My kid is from there. I know about this one as well. How does that not look like a mud flood? Too much fear porn. Keep going.
Okay.
Oh, more fear porn. So look at the levee system that's already engaged. And I've got 27. This is the beginning of wood burning and coal burning because they just killed all the free energy architecture. That's why that steamer out there looks like a steamer. You know why they called them steamers? Because they had water-based engines. Water-based engines produce steam. They didn't call them smokers. They didn't call them coalers. They didn't call them wooders. They call them steamers.
Steamers.
Because the engines were run on free energy and water. What does water produce when under compression and heated?
Steam.
Oh, so a boat that runs by wood burning coal, some combustible oil, whale oil, all of these things. What would you call any of those a steamer?
No.
Well, there was a class of ship. It was called a whaler. It ran on whale oil. Come on, man. It's right in front of you. All the words are here. That is not a steamer. That's because they just destroyed all of the free energy architecture. This is in Arkansas. Is Arkansas next to the ocean?
No.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't eat
Along the
oysters in
Mississippi
Arkansas
River.
unless they're Rocky Mountain. This looks like a coastal city. This looks like a barrier island in the Carolinas. Tell me weather modification is not real.
And is the picture actually what we think the picture is? Look at all the tents that they were conveniently able to get for all the people to sleep on the levee.
Okay, so if you go look at the 9/11 stuff that's coming out, you'll find out that FEMA flew in the night before. So I'll leave it at that. Next slide. Once again, I got people in boats. What do you need to produce a mud flood? What do you need?
Boats.
Mud.
And boats.
And above the mud is the water, and above the water the boat lives on. What? This guy's got a company. Does he look like he's like, no, this is my first day doing this?
Okay, Thor, please read the caption. It's going to be very important in the next slide.
All right. The U.S. Justice Department failed to aggressively pursue statutory violations of the Anti-Peonage Act of 1867.
So law enforcement authorities arrested thousands of Black men, released them to white planters for rebuilding. The Mississippi River Great Flood of 1927 inundated large areas in Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. However, it was in Mississippi where the embankments overflowed, drowning hundreds, perhaps 1,000 people, and became one of the largest natural disasters in U.S. history in terms of loss of life. The flood also starkly revealed the wide delta of Black peonage, or the new slavery that controlled the lives of slaves freed in 1865 and their descendants 62 years after passage of the 13th Amendment. The flood showed that the shadow of the plantation still loomed large, as little had changed in the Mississippi Delta since emancipation. Most Blacks in the region still resided on plantations as sharecroppers and tenant farmers, while many others were forced into coerced labor. In fact, in the aftermath of the flood, local law enforcement authorities arrested thousands of Black men, caged them in pens, and released them to white planters in need of rebuilding their businesses. The U.S. Justice Department failed to aggressively pursue statutory violations of the Anti-Peonage Act of 1867, interceding reluctantly and sporadically in the region. Speechless, are we?
I'm just looking at this next slide.
Yes, you get to read that one.
All right. Cars and trucks.
Sorry, guys. My system took a giant crap on my head, but I'm back. So peonage. So look at the word. Do you know what? Do you know? Have you ever heard of a term at a new job called a peon? Go back. Called a peon. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
Okay. Did you think that was about pissing on someone? No. The Peonage Act was about being a peon. This is the first aggressive pursuit of the establishment to authorize and engage people to be workers, quote unquote workers. The Peonage Act is this is after, so we're after the flood. When we get into what's the slaughterhouse, whatever it was, Slaughterhouse 5. Written, it was about the first of the movement against child labor. Well, before child labor was a problem, these are the leftover Tartarians. These are Black guys. The slave trade went from west to east, not east to west. Africa was populated with the new peoples. America during Tartaria was Black people of royalty. So what do you do when you push a nation down? You make them the peon. The Anti-Peonage Act was not to be repressive against the remaining Tartarians.
Amazing. Wow.
Don't be a peon. Peon. You see it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. You know, I'm a compendium of mostly useless knowledge.
Okay, go ahead, Thor.
Go back one.
I just read that. You're there? Gandalf?
Well, do you want to go to the next slide and I'll just go ahead and read it?
Yes.
All right.
Was I muted for that? And you guys saw did you not hear my emancipation rail? Did you hear that?
No, we did not, sir.
Go back. I was muted. Sorry. Okay. Watch what happens here. You hear me talk about cycles, right?
Yes.
I have a great flood where shit happens all over the place. Okay. Drowning, hundreds, thousands, possibly fear. And then I have a government amendment, and then I have a giving of a right.
Wow.
Do you see it?
Yes.
Watch the cycles.
Yeah.
Keep going.
All right.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
That's the actual moving mud flood, taking shit off the road.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed by this picture. But it does say cars and trucks in this unknown location are swept away by the raging Mississippi River during the Great Flood of 1927. The flooding along the Mississippi, Arkansas, and Red Rivers officially killed 246 people and displaced some 700,000 others.
So talk about patterns for one more second. The pattern is that I make your place unlivable and I drive you to a new area where you are sheltered with government benefit.
That is so up their alley. Great.
Glad they had all those tents laying around.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
Just so convenient. I wonder if it took as long to get those tents as it did for FEMA to get the tents after Hurricane Ida.
It depends on whether or not you're taking the arena into account. When did they start building that?
One never knows. Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 was the most destructive flood in the history of the United States. Thus far. The flood began when heavy rains pounded the central basin of the Mississippi in the summer of 1926. By September, the Mississippi's tributaries in Kansas and Iowa were swollen to capacity. On New Year's Day of 1927, the Cumberland River at Nashville topped levees at 56.2 feet. The Mississippi River broke out of its levee system in 145 places and flooded 27,000 square miles, or about 16,570,627 acres. The area was inundated up to a depth of 30 feet.
Does that sound like a mud flood?
Yes.
I've got multiple accounts during this cast and the last one of this happening as recently as 97 years ago. Hey, Brandy, you ever heard that number?
Yes.
This is great research. Thank you for doing this.
Anniversary.
It only took you 3 weeks to catch up. Thank you. 97 years. I want you to thank you. Thank you. You are very good at this.
It's God-given, darling. God-given.
Christ is my HR guy.
Exactly. So Melville,
black people. I'm telling you, the slave trade went the other way. The East China Trading Company is a fallacy. Part of the movie.
Yep. This is in Melville, Louisiana. I think I tried finding this on the map, and you're up
to Delta. You got to go up to Baton Rouge over the new bridges, and take a left.
Oh, okay. Because I tried looking
coming from Chapaloosis. You got to go out the outside of the city, and it used to be a barge
in the New Orleans area.
So if I go down Bourbon and I go to Chapaloosis, which I always route badly, and I take a right, and I go around the city, and I go up the backside, and I go out the thoroughfare set, which is partially old road, partially new road, and then I hit the new bridge infrastructure that takes me across to Baton Rouge, and I take a left back into the bayou. That's where you are.
Okay. Thank you for that.
A good memory is a good thing.
This is the 1927 flood, and this is a photograph of the tree that is considered the Longfellow Evangeline tree in St. Martinville, Louisiana.
So that is a water cypress, and it's a very old tree. You can't plant a cypress. Cypress has to grow by pod distribution, and this is a water-based tree. There are only 2 other trees in the nation at the time, because the first thing that happened when we came in and they took over the continent, they made the flood event, the Salton Sea event, which I've been trying to peg into history, is they cut down the trees because the mycelium network, which is the mushroom network, the tree network, and us at a 7.83 hertz with the toric coil all work together. That's why the first thing they did, I'm going back 8 shows. I know we've been cranking them out, Brandy, where we talked about the big trees in California. There were as many as 300 feet, right? So, I mean, 30 stories worth of tree around the edge. Come on. So this is the waterborne version of that. It's a very old tree. And the trees are important. There's a reason that they make.
Cyprus is very interesting. After extreme weather swept from the Plain States to the Ohio River Valley in the fall of 1926, levees began bursting in the lower Mississippi Valley in March of 27 and kept breaking through May.
So we hear about shake events. We hear about 5-month sequences. January, March, April, May. I got 90 days here. So yeah, I'm a pattern guy.
Sounds like the patterns are coming together like a puzzle.
Fun to watch, isn't it?
It is. The once bustling downtown Greenville became silent for a few days as water flooded the streets. Then merchants found ways to get their goods to their customers. And on the right is a picture of St. Joseph Cathedral Church in Greenville, Louisiana.
Why don't you guys tell me why that's a power center and not a church?
Look at the windows and the fact that we can't even see the highest point of the front of the church.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Look at the buildings to the left. They're of alternating density and color. And notice how they alternate. So that's because they are different polarity sets within the architecture. So the way that you drown the system out is you increase the water impurity level to such a point where it has no electromagnetic response. So the backbone to all of this is called magnetricity, magna-tricity. So magnetricity is an ultra low frequency or a high wavelength response. So when we come out with alternating current and direct current, Tesla tries to make a bam. So where am I in this picture? What is that? What date do you get on these pictures, Brandy?
This went with the
1927.
Okay, so Tesla, you remember Tesla is already dead, maybe or close at this point, right? So the direct current is a different wavelength and frequency than alternating current. Alternating current is what's called a long line haul, right? So the alternating current architecture is not these wires necessarily. These are communications wires. There is some streetcar set here, but even notice these configurations that they have to match the frequency of this existing power, which is direct current. Tesla and Bell don't have a fight over alternating and direct current response because direct current can only get you like 900 feet. The alternating current can get you 900 miles. And they tell us that we lose up to 50% of our produced power by degradation. But in my mind, that's actually being stolen by those underneath. So if I look at this, I've got a very Tartarian piece of architecture, old style, and some infrastructure on the left that fits into the old power grid. How do you kick the old power grid? You pollute the water. Watch the water.
And on the right, amazes me, the St. Joseph Catholic Church was surrounded by water, but it never actually got into the church. Go figure.
And I'm not the greatest with color, but the most powerful buildings in the architecture grid are opaque level white because of the level of quartz that's in the poured stone. Because it's a poured stone event. Even if you look at the ceiling, the tiles on the top right, and they don't show you the top because I guarantee you at the top of that is a working and functioning device. This is not an apocryphal level picture that's in the inside either. That round thing that's in the front of the building. And you notice there's something in front of it that looks like an attenuator, like the top of a spark plug.
And there's all these, whatever you call spires or domers. I don't know, these little.
You had it right. That's a spire.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at that. Look at the way the windows are slanted, the correct spacing. And I'm telling you, this is a working building. That thing that comes up in the front, that's always now a picture of Christ, right? Or some, you know, it's crap. This piece that comes out of the front, go up 5D, right there, right around the center picture there, Brandy, the center round thing. So in front of that,
Oh yeah, this.
does that not look like the end of a spark plug to you?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
And to tell you, that particular circle is in a church somewhere about 45 minutes away from me. And that church still exists today.
Hey, of course it does. Yeah, look, Louisiana was part of the PowerPoint. Why do you think it still keeps getting freaking pounded?
Flood of 1937, West Virginia and Louisville, Kentucky.
We're just coming
Downtown.
through the end of Prohibition, by the way. How miserable can you make people to take away their alcohol? Come on, man.
Downtown Huntington, West Virginia during the Great Flood of 1937. And on the right, we have Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky.
The home of bourbon.
And the Ohio River flood of 1937.
Where they make all the bourbon.
Where they make all the bourbon.
Aerial view of Covington in northern Kentucky. The middle picture is the east end of Covington in northern Kentucky, and the right one is Madison Avenue in Covington in northern Kentucky.
I think we have to name this cast A History of Misery with a Dash of Hopium.
The Aquarian age of reality moving forward out of the Piscean age.
Oh God, I hope so.
I agree with that.
Let's connect these dots together. I've actually never connected these dots. So during the end of Prohibition, so right now what's happening in Washington during this time of 35, 36, 37 is Prohibition is being challenged because the people are saying, are you kidding me? I can't even get a drink.
But you ready to put two and two together? 1937. What did we say on the other show? What year did the Dust Bowls end again?
Oh, so the Roaring Twenties happened, where everyone's, hey, happy days are here again. Oh, happy days. None of that.
Okay.
You would have nothing like it. Oh my God, that's Targaryen. So you see how these windows come up in a sequence set? These would have been filled with varying density levels of primary minerals in these stage sets. And at the top, notice they cut the top off. You can't see the delivery device. So what do?
You have 1, 2, 3. That's as they climb the steps, right?
No, this is so there are lockers in here that change the primary density of the structure set depending on the response. Look up here at the top. So positive, negative, the 4 windows. Those are of alternating currency set. So these 3 pieces in the middle, those are probably 2 positives and 1 negative. The negative, the center is the ground, and it comes down through the center of the building. This is near a waterway, or it would not have flooded. So you're making the water impure enough. And today it's glyphosates and deuterium and graphene oxide. It's in everything. They're doing the same thing in a larger scale. It's a pattern, people. It's a freaking pattern.
Yes. All right. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Just in case Christmas wasn't good enough for you.
Let's just wait a month. Then came January the 24th, 1937, now known as Black Sunday. On that single day, everything that could go wrong went very, very wrong. The river had exceeded flood stage for a week, yet still the waters rose and swamped every precautionary barrier. Flood waters poured into the waterworks, into electrical generating stations, into telephone switches and gas.
Wait. Waterworks and electrical generating stations. What's next to the water? The electrical generating stations, because they're part of the network. Keep going.
Into telephone switches as gas lines. Railroad tracks submerged. The Mill Creek Valley was a lake of fire as 1 million gallons of gasoline dumped from upended storage tanks.
No, hold on. That's just too much of a coincidence for me. There happened to be 1 million gallons of gas just hanging around, waiting to be lit.
1 million gallons of gas in 1937? Come on. Give me a break.
And then more than 30 buildings burned to the water line. What do you have? Where's their water line next to a building? That is 30 power plants destroyed with 1 million. That sounds like a cabal, doesn't it?
Does to me.
How many gallons would you use if you were really going to just make sure everything we want is destroyed?
I mean, 1 million.
Well, they've been doing it for thousands of years.
How
1
bland does it have to be?
million. I'm doing my Austin Powers. 1 million. There's no new lines.
Wow.
They reused it 175 years later in a fucking Hollywood movie. How many gallons? 1 million.
1 million.
All right.
Well, once again, Brandy, great fucking show. So, I'll quit cussing. More flooding. Jiminy Christmas. Are those box cars on a rail line underneath water? Yep, that's a train.
It's a train. And on the right, we have New Boston, Ohio, flooded. And I'll let you say the name of this city.
Swashville. It's going to be Germanic. Swashville. It's like a in the middle. Ohio. Right. Actually, you know what? That's Russian. That's a Russian converted name. That would be Switchville or Swat. Yes, I don't know. Boy, that's a tough one.
Yeah, we thought so too.
That'd be Historical Society. Shawnee State and Indian State University.
So here we have water at least up to the windows.
Yeah, that's that. So I bet you if you try and rent this, that house that's in the foreground today, it has a basement, and it's right about where that window is.
This one. Amazing. An upturned farmhouse in Posey County, Indiana.
Fear. That looks like the house that was in the clearing next to Dorothy when the tornado came through.
It also looks like a shed, if you ask me.
No, that's a house. There's a walkout. There's a hot tub on that porch. Look at the tall stand, floor level exit, and the tilted right hand side of the structure. That's a walkout with a door that's hinged.
It looks like a trailer.
Maybe. No wheels. Must have been a Shivna.
But anyway. So here we have a building with 4 marks of water. A building in Milton, Kentucky, with high water marks of 1937 on the second story shows the highest the water reached comparing other flood events of 1964 being the second worst, 1947 being the third worst, and the last flood of 1997 was the least flooding in Milton, Kentucky.
Wow. Is that what those wavy things are?
Yeah, they're supposed to be
really hard for you
water. Yeah, they're supposed to be images of water waves.
Wow. I'll be right back.
So Thor, how do
This
you
is
think
Well,
this?
this is all just kind of fascinating to me because they've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, and they're just trying to eliminate the Tartarians and the
Yes,
free energy. I mean, it's all, I mean, they stole it. And if you start looking at all these towers, like the one in Nashville,
right,
I used to live there at one point, the Sears Tower. It was all to steal internet and Ethernet and sell it to us. So it's all been a lie.
right. Absolutely off the chain amazing. Um, when you look at it and you connect the dots with everything we know about the Tartarian age and who the Tartarians were, um, that the Cabal came in and said, "Oh no, we're taking over, and we know how to do this because we've done it for thousands of years. We just have to give you a disaster, then have a problem, and give you an alternative of how we're going to fix that problem. And then
Well,
you're happy, and you forget that they took everything you ever had away from you. And
Well, the other problem with that is, that the cabal infiltrated every aspect of our government and media, and so they had the MK Ultra where, they give the same narrative out to the world. And so, they get brainwashed. And so that's kind of what we're doing here is trying to wake up people with just truth that we find and facts, and there's no coincidences. And if you
right,
start looking at all these occurrences, I mean, they're very much a systematic cycle.
that's true. So basically, if Gandalf is back, I'm going to ask him, um, what would what would they have done, um, to just completely keep everyone?
Okay, well,
Uh,
let me save you here. It
okay.
takes three. It takes three generations to make a fact. It
Yes.
takes three generations to make a fact. So, in generation number one, I changed the narrative, and I convinced generation number two that you better get this narrative under your ass or you're done, because you get herded and pushed into a specific peninsula of pain, right? So they herd everyone to a spot. They give them some found tech in buildings, like a Capitol building for the elites, et cetera, right? And then
Right.
the second generation says, well, my daddy told me. And the third generation takes it as fact. And a generation is 27 years.
Yes.
Go boil that backwards. 27 years is one generation.
Wow. But I mean, if you ask Thor's daughter what a actual telephone looked like, she would go, "What's that?" Because they don't know of landline telephones.
Yeah, we had that discussion earlier today.
We did.
We saw the regular landline phones and we brought it to my daughter and she was like, "What's that?" So, what's a way to,
One
you know,
generation to not know what a regular landline looked like.
I've been in the telecommunications industry a very, very long time. And the way that we distribute and control information with a cell phone in our hand is 1 million miles from this environment we're talking about here. So look at this corner, this picture that we have. Remember, these guys are lazy. The bad guys are lazy. They like to steal shit. This was obviously an interactive corner, right?
Right.
So it got doused. This top
yeah,
water line up here, the fourth top in these wavy sets, and there's different amounts of waves, right? Like the top ones are taller and there's less, and the bottom one there's smaller and there's more. There's got to be
Right.
something in there. Look at the whole picture. I mean, you don't do that to a building unless it was horrible. God bless, we have another roaring 20s because the 30s suck.
So basically, for anyone out there who wants to do a little research of their own, go look up the flood of 1964 in Kentucky, 1947, and 1997. And send me a message and let me know what you find. Should be an
Okay.
interesting dig, shall I say.
Well, digging's part of the process, right? Keep going. Give me a slide.
Okay, well, you're not going to like the next slide, but it says, thanks for spending time with Gandalf and Brandyfoot, along with our special guests, Thor, Queen Califia, and unfortunately, Linda couldn't make it, but she was invited. Love to everyone and Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody else. You know, I want to tell you, we've been slamming content for the last week or so. Give us a like and a follow if you want. The library, I don't know. We're trying to work our process out here. The team is growing. And I just want to tell everyone I thank you, and I'm looking forward to 2023. It's going to be an interesting year.
That it
Absolutely.
will.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone.
And if I lived in California, I'd get the fuck out. Okay. Yes, say good night, Gracie.
Good
All right.
night,
Good night,
everyone.
Good night.